Not working. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The North Ridgeville City Council meeting is now in session. Today is Monday, April 15th, 2024. We are having some technical difficulties, so please bear with us, but there are copies of agendas over there on the wall if anybody needs one. We are going to start by rising for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Father, we come together again and thank you for the wonderful community in which we live and for the opportunity to represent it as our city council. We ask you to give us and all local, state, national, and world leaders wisdom to make wise decisions and to govern with integrity and justice. And we pray these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Looks like we're coming back online here. Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank.
Here.
Schaefer.
Here.
Abens.
Here.
Winkle.
Here.
Awig.
Here.
DeVries.
Here.
Jacobs.
Here.
Mr. Mayor.
Here.
Law Director.
Here.
Engineer.
Here.
Director of Finance.
Here.
Clerk of Council. Here.
Tonight, under approval of minutes, we have before us the City Council public hearing meeting minutes dated April 1st, 2024. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes stand approved. And then we also have before us the regular City Council meeting minutes also dated April 1st, 2024. Are there any additional changes or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, those minutes stand approved as well. Please note that Council has also received the Planning Commission meeting minutes dated April 9th, 2024. That will bring us to our lobby session. In a moment, I will open our lobby. As a reminder to those who are here in Council chambers this evening, the lobby session is not an interactive question and answer period. However, it is an opportunity for the Council, or excuse me, for the public to be able to address Council as well as the city administration. We welcome your feedback, and we will be happy to get back with you if you have questions that we can answer. We do ask that if you wish to speak this evening, that you do so from the podium and from the podium only. We want you to begin by stating your name and address for the record, at which time you will be allowed up to 3 minutes to speak regarding any matter pertaining to the business of City Council or general affairs of the City of North Ridgeville. So at this time, the lobby session is now open. I don't have any written submissions this evening. Is there anybody in attendance who would like to address Council? Mr. Craig? If you could please start by stating your name and address, and your 3 minutes will begin.
Well, you know why I'm here, as always. Short and sweet. Albert Craig, 37903 Sugar Ridge Road. Mr. Mayor, and everybody in Council, we still have a problem with our trucks in the neighborhood. It's absurd that this is even still happening. The police are not there often enough to take care of this problem. In fact, there was a cop on our road today. The neighbor told me about it because I was at work. He said the cop pulled over a motorcycle And as he was sitting there, and this is west of Race Road, where trucks absolutely should not have any business being, he says a semi truck drove right by that officer and he did nothing. Didn't even flag it down to stop, nothing. He goes, it drove right by the cop sitting there. Ridiculous. It's like we need to get some attention on this problem. It just keeps getting just ignored for the most part, it seems like, because we don't see any results on our road. It's just truck after truck all the time. 5:45 today, a double-axled dump truck pulling a backhoe on a construction trailer went from 83 all the way down to 57. That was a little illegal. Our road, the bridge is tore up on our road now, but the trucks have not stopped. The police, like I said, rare to see them getting trucks on our road anymore. And I have myself witnessed them a couple times. Once in a great while, they get pulled over and they're just let go in 2 minutes. They didn't get a ticket. They let them go. And the other neighbor today, he saw, before noon, he saw 8 big box trucks, illegal, and 4 semi trucks, end to end, down our road. That was just today. It's like I've made suggestions for better attention grabbing signs. Let's get some help from the sheriff because they have the jurisdiction to do it. Let's ask the state highway patrol in here. Nothing. We're getting no results. The trucks are starting to ramp up right now. Since it got warm, we're getting more trucks than we've had. It's like, why is there just such a lack of effort for this? I mean, come on. Our road's destroyed. There's a lot of other roads in this city. The pavement's busted and tore up. They're going to be just like Sugar Ridge in a minute. And it's all from the lack of doing anything about these trucks going through our roads. There needs to be more focus on it than what it's getting, because there ain't enough. That's for sure. Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm
Mr.
sure I'm going to get some retaliation for it. It always happens every time I come up here and scream. We'll see. I'll inform you when that happens.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. Is there anybody else in attendance this evening who would like to speak? Mrs. Sturmel? Again, as a reminder, please state your name and address. Thank you.
Kim Sturmel, 37872 Sugar Ridge Road. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Jacobs. We have been talking the last couple weeks. That'd help. The last couple weeks, he's been willing to work with me and get answers. He's the only one that reached out to me. Okay? We need help because we're trying to educate ourselves. We're coming here to learn. You guys are getting paid. And we were here at the last meeting, and it seemed like nobody knew anything about this Sugar Ridge Road grant. You had to go back and research it. So, Mr. Jacobs, thank you for working with me. I appreciate it. What I'm going to get somehow, I want to get the grant. It should be public information. I want the grant wording, and I want the wording of the city, how they applied for this grant and the wordings. So if someone can help me with that, I would appreciate that very much. I was thinking, you have a developer that comes into town, he wants to develop land on a wetland. There's been times you can move the wetland, fill that in, but you gotta replace it. Why can't we take the money from the grant? We don't want sidewalks, bike paths. Why can't we take that money and apply that to a sidewalk that's dead end someplace and extend it out? We have to have a starting point and go out from there. We just don't need 1.05 miles of a sidewalk. All that's gonna do, most of us are, I hate to say it, elderly, and it'll make more work for my husband. Then we gotta maintain and keep the bike paths clean from snow, the sidewalks. We really don't need it out there. We have the road as long as we take care of the trucks. Like Albert stated, 11:30 at night, the other night we came home, and there was a 53-foot semi just cruising down, going to Elyria.
Mrs. Sturmel, pardon the interruption, but your 3 minutes has elapsed.
Mr.
It's
President,
up.
Yes, Mrs. Swank?
I move to give Mrs. Sturmel an additional or up to 3 minutes.
Second.
It was moved by Swank and seconded by Abens to allow Mrs. Sturmel up to another 3 minutes to speak this evening. All in favor, say yes.
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 All opposed, say no. Please
Thank you.
proceed.
We don't like to come up here and complain. We want to be left alone, and I think we know what's best for our neighborhood. And we are a neighborhood. We might not be a development, but we don't like the word corridor used through our residential area. My son's a civil engineer, and I talked to him at length about corridors and that. And this is not a corridor. Unless you make it one from point A to point B, which has always been the intention of the city, because Mr. Beckett won't extend his road, and this way they can get down to 480. And I know the road specs will be used for trucks. So it's not going to be residential. It sure looks like it will be trucks. And the one family down the road has 4 little ones. She said there's no way I would walk Sugar Ridge with the trucks, with my little ones. She said if they fly. So I hope you keep learning about this before decisions are made. And I hope someone can help me with the grant information and the wording. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sturmel. Do we have anybody else in attendance this evening who would like to address council or the administration? Okay, seeing none, we will close the lobby session and move on to administrative reports. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. We have several items on the mayor's report tonight. First of all, it's time to produce a new list of full-time patrol officers and full-time firefighter paramedics. We do this every couple of years, create a new list, and it's that time again. So there are applications available on our city's website at nridgeville.org, and they are going to be accepted through May 27th. So if you're interested in joining our safety forces, please visit our website and sign up. Community garden sign up started today, and there were lots of applications sent in. So if you're interested in doing that, remember that garden is at the roundabout at Chestnut Ridge Road and alternate state Route 83. The applications are on our website, and you can send that application in at City Hall. There is a senior center spaghetti dinner coming up on April 26th, and that is from 5 to 7 p.m. at the senior center. Tickets are available in advance at the senior center or at the door on the day of the event. Cost is $8 for adults, $7 for seniors, and $5 for children 10 and under. As always, it includes spaghetti and meatballs, a side salad, and bread. And again, that is for dine-in or takeout. And all proceeds benefit the programs at the Senior Center, and Liston Funeral Home is the sponsor of the event this month. We're having a police department grand opening community event on April 27th. That is on a Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. There'll be ribbon cutting at 11, police station tours, a canine demo, kids activities and giveaways, and food trucks. For more information, visit our city's website. And then finally, there is a fishing derby coming up on May 4th. The Parks and Recreation and Fire Department will be hosting the annual fishing derby from 7:30 a.m. to noon at South Central Park. Bring your own bait and fishing rod And if you don't have one, we will provide one. It's a free event for ages 3 to 18 years old, and there is a $5 donation for aluminum cans for burned children that is encouraged. Visit the Parks and Recreation Department website for more information and to register for the event. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City Engineer?
Thank you, Mr. President. We recently found out that the County Engineer's Office has found some additional funding for us for the Chestnut Road Bridge over Dixon Ditch, just east of Route Road. As of last year, they were only able to secure $250,000 for the $406,000 construction cost of the bridge, but they were able to secure the rest of that funding, which will also include the widening of the sidewalk and the relocation of the water main. We are still on the hook to provide funding for a temporary emergency access and any contingency, but not as much as we were originally anticipating. The emergency access drive would be used to allow emergency vehicles to get to the subdivision area should a train be blocked on Chestnut Ridge Road while the bridge is out. So our emergency services will still be able to get to them. And our service department is going to install that particular access drive. Additionally, I found out that the Lorraine County Community Development was able to obtain an extra $50,000 over the original $100,000 that they had awarded to us for the CDBD project, including the Caroline, Luann, and Monica roadway resurfacing project. These additional funds could potentially be used for additional subbase repairs, curb repairs, catch basin adjustments, and ADA compliance items. This draft legislation is before you tonight on the first readings to enter into a cooperative agreement with the county. Unfortunately, on the flip side, the Ohio Public Works Commission renounced their funding support for our Sugar Ridge and Bender roundabout project, as they noted that they had not realized we were requesting funding for the engineering portion of the project, and that OPWC funds can no longer be used for engineering, but rather only construction. They encouraged us to submit for the next round of funding, but unfortunately would not entertain a substitute project for us. So this information was very disheartening, but hopefully we'll get it on the books for next year. You may have seen the Ohio Turnpike has announced that they will be closing the Bagley Road Bridge that runs over the Turnpike on Monday, April 29th. It will be closed until the end of October. The detour route is posted to use Lorraine, to Cook, to Stearns, and back to Bagley. No permanent lane closures on the Turnpike is expected for this bridge work. The Turnpike is also working on another 2 consecutive bridges on their eastbound main line within the city. The first of these bridges goes over one of their ramps, and the second bridge goes over Lorraine Road, right in front of the movie theater, the drive-in movie theater there. Therefore, signs will be alerting drivers if they want to proceed eastbound on the Turnpike. They should take I-480 east to I-71 south and get on at the Strongsville Toll Plaza. This closure is expected to start this Wednesday and continue until August. I just want to reiterate that both on-ramps off of Lorraine Road to the Turnpike will be open, but once you get through the toll gates, you will not be able to go eastbound. You could only go westbound. So make provisions accordingly ahead of time. There also might be some intermittent lane closures on Lorraine Road when they do the substructure work on that particular bridge, but they assured me that traffic will be maintained. Diggers of Ohio, who has recently contracted to do our hydrant replacements, got off to a slow start because of the weather, unfortunately. So if you happen to be reviewing the schedule that was posted online, they're currently finishing hydrant number 3, which I think was supposed to be scheduled for 2 weeks ago, so a little bit behind. I will be canceling April's Drainage Board meeting as we haven't made any real strides with our 2 major stormwater projects. The Fortune Ditch project being administered by the county is still held up in appeals court. And we are still contending with the TC Energy conflict for the Mills Creek Flood Control Basin project. So hopefully I'll have some more updates for the next quarterly board meeting. Finally, commercial businesses that did not submit their documentation to receive their stormwater utility credit, to continue to receive their stormwater utility credit, will be paying their full calculated stormwater fee starting on their May utility bill. You can apply at any time for your stormwater utility credit. If you do have a business, just reach out to the engineering department for that application. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Director of Finance.
Thank you, Council President. Just one brief update. Earlier today, Finance distributed our March 2024 financial report. That report will be available for public viewing tomorrow. And that concludes my report.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Please note that council is also in receipt of the March 2024 Building Division Report, the March 2024 Water Distribution and EPA Report, the March 2024 Fire Department Monthly Report, and the 2024 Annual Fire Department Report. And we thank the department heads for preparing and providing those reports. There are no council committee reports, correspondence, or old business on tonight's agenda. That brings us to new business. Up first, we received a transfer liquor permit request. Clerk, if you could please read that request.
A request from Ridgeville Tavern LLC DBA Game Day Tavern to West Ridge Investments LLC DBA Game Day Tavern for a transfer liquor permit request at 39140 Center Ridge Road, or Center Ridge and Patio.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Winkle?
I'd like to move not to request a hearing, so this can be sent to the state for its final disposition hearing by May 2nd.
Second.
The motion was made by Winkle and seconded by Awig to not request a hearing so that this may be sent to the state for final disposition by the deadline. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes. Yes. All opposed say no. Motion carries. The North Ridgeville Planning Commission took action on 3 items at its regular meeting of April 9th, 2024. Clerk, if you could please read the first item for roof briquetting systems.
Roof Briquetting Systems 38778 Taylor Parkway. Applicant Brandon Klein, Geist Corporation Construction, 10020 Aurora Hudson Road, Streetsboro, Ohio 44241. Proposal consists of a new manufacturing facility, property zoned I-3 Heavy Industrial District. The Planning Commission action approved by a vote of 5-0.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Abens.
this is a new company moving into the town, and better make sure I say this properly. It is a foreign company, and they've picked North Ridgeville to locate. There are no furnaces or pollution or anything else that they will be generating. Therefore, I move to approve.
I'm sorry, was it Mrs. Swank? Okay. The motion was made by Abens and seconded by Swank to approve the Planning Commission's approval of roof briquetting systems. Is there any discussion?
The President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
when the word foreign was used, I just want to clarify, it's a German company.
Okay,
Their U.S. division.
thank you. Is there any additional questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed say no. Motion carries. Clerk, please read the second Planning Commission item, Root Road Park.
Root Road Park, 8949 Root Road, permanent parcel number 070001110358. City North Ridgeville, 7307 Avon Belden Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Proposal consists of park pavement and site improvements, property zoned R1 Resident District. Planning Commission action approved by a vote of 5-0.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Abens.
move to approve.
Second.
It was moved by Abens and seconded by Swank to approve the Planning Commission's approval of the site improvements at Root Road Park. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Clerk, please read item number 3, Shady Drive Complex.
Shady Drive Complex, 37077 Shady Drive, permanent parcel number 0700035102041. Owner, City of North Ridgeville, 7307 Avon Belden Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Proposal consists of constructing a new playground, property zoned R1 Resident District. Planning Commission action approved by a vote of 5-0.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Abens.
move to approve.
Second.
The motion was made by Abens and seconded by Swank to approve the Planning Commission's approval of the construction of a new playground at Shady Drive Complex. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed say no. Motion carries. Up next is recess.
Mr. President, move to dispense with recess.
Second.
It was moved by Winkle and seconded by Awig to dispense with recess. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Recess has been dispensed. We'll move on to first readings. Up first, we have 2024-47.
An ordinance accepting the Community Development Block Grant funds and authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Lorraine County Community Development for the Luann Drive, Caroline Drive, and Monica Drive resurfacing project and other appurtenances not to exceed $290,000.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
move to dispense with the first and second readings. I'm sorry, for second and third readings. Where am I?
Second.
Thanks.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to dispense with the second and third readings for 2024-47. Are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President, we'd like to move forward with this project, and remember, we're getting funds, so this is pretty straightforward, but I'm not asking for the emergency on this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are there any additional comments or questions? Again, the motion was made by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to dispense with the second and third readings for 2024-47. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
It was moved by Winkle and seconded, it was moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to adopt 2024-47 with, are there any comments at this time? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
2024-47 is adopted by a vote 7-0.
Up next is 2024-48.
An ordinance amending zoning map of the city of North Ridgeville such that the portion of permanent parcel number 07000211011068 located at 35782 Center Ridge Road that is currently zoned R1 Resident District be rezoned to B3 Highway Commercial District.
2024-48 will be referred to the Planning Commission for further review. Brings us to second readings. 2024-44.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract according to law in a manner prescribed by law with the lowest and best bidders for the Avon Belden Road and Chestnut Ridge Road roundabout, also known as Lorraine 83 11.19 ODOT PID number 114797 for construction, inspection services, and associated work in an amount not to exceed $440,000.
2024-46.
A resolution to approve the application made by Maxwell Hugenreiter and Mia Rader to have certain land owned by them designated as being located within an agriculture district.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Abens.
I'm going to move to dispense with the third reading on this. They are facing a county deadline, and we need to get this moving for them.
Second.
It was moved by Abens and seconded by Swank to dispense with a third reading for 2024-46. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr.
I
Abens.
believe we need the emergency on this as well, because of the deadline.
Yes, that is
They are facing.
I believe that is correct.
So I move to
Adopt
to adopt
first.
the emergency, adopt the measure with the emergency.
Second.
And the reason for the emergency is to meet the
Point
county
of
To
deadline.
meet the county deadline.
Yep.
Point of order.
Yep.
We have to adopt, then add the emergency.
That is correct. So
He moved to adopt.
you made the motion to adopt and Mrs. Swank seconded it, correct? Okay, so are we going to add the emergency to that then?
I'd like to add the emergency to this to meet the county deadline.
Second.
It was moved by Abens and seconded by Swank to add the emergency clause to 2024-46 in order to meet the county deadline. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was moved by Abens and seconded by Swank to adopt 2024-46 with the emergency clause in place. At this time, are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
2024-46 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Under third readings, we have 2024-26.
An ordinance providing for the amendment of Chapter 1444 Building Permits and Fees of the North Ridgeville Building and Housing Code and the establishment of a new Chapter 1010 Engineering Permits and Fees in the Streets, Utilities, and Public Services Code.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Winkle.
move to adopt.
Second.
It was moved by Winkle and seconded by Awig to adopt 2024-26. At this time, are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Swank?
I do have a question for the administration. Will these new fees be listed on the city's website? Yes. Thank you.
Are there any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
2024-26 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
2024-35.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract according to law and in a manner prescribed by law with the lowest and best bidder for the 2024 traffic paint, striping, and other appurtenances not to exceed $180,000.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Swank?
move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
move to add the emergency clause.
Second.
Mr. President, this is a project that we do each and every year. We're starting off on a strong foot with introducing it as early as we did this time. But in order to work with the weather and its varying changes throughout the seasons, we'd like to have the emergency clause put in place on this so we can get started on this project as soon as possible, weather provided.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Swank to add the emergency clause to 2024-35. Excuse me. It was moved by Swank and seconded by Winkle to adopt 2024-35 with the emergency clause in place. Is that correct? No. I'm really off track here.
Let's start over.
Emergency was
Let's do the emergency clause first.
Mayor and Swank. It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Swank to add the emergency clause to 2024-35 for the reasons stated by the mayor. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
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 All opposed say no. It was then moved by Swank and seconded by Winkle to adopt 2024-35 with the emergency clause in place. Are there any comments or questions at this time? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries, or 2024-35 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
2024-36.
2024-36, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract according to law and in a manner prescribed by law with the lowest and best bidder for the 2024 Catch Basin Rehabilitation Project and other appurtenances not to exceed $150,000.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Swank.
move to adopt.
Second.
It was moved by Swank and seconded by Winkle to adopt 2024-36. At this time, are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
2024-36 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
2024-37.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract according to law and in a manner prescribed by law with the lowest and best bidder for the 2024 Crack Seal Project and other appurtenances not to exceed $150,000.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Swink.
move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
move to add the emergency clause.
Second.
Mr. President, for similar reasons as to 2024-35, we'd like the flexibility of being able to work on this project and take the weather into consideration as we move forward on this. That's the reason for the emergency clause.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Abens to add the emergency clause to 2024-37 for the reasons just stated by the mayor. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was then moved by Swank and seconded by Winkle to adopt 2024-37 with the emergency clause in place. Are there any final comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
2024-37 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
2024-38.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract according to law and in a manner prescribed by law with the lowest and best bidder for the 2024 full-depth concrete pavement replacement project and other appurtenances not to exceed $900,000.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Swank.
move to adopt.
Second.
It was moved by Swank and seconded by Winkle to adopt 2024-38. Are there any comments or questions at this time?
Mr. President, a comment, please.
Mr. Mayor?
I'd just like to thank our city engineer, Christina Evanson, and the engineering department for putting 35, 36, 37, 38 on the agenda as early as they did this particular year. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Are there any additional comments or questions? Again, it was moved by Swank and seconded by Winkle to adopt 2024-38. Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
2024-38 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
2024-39.
A resolution adopting the Ridgeville Ready 2024 Master Plan.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Winkle.
move to adopt.
Second.
It was moved by Winkle and seconded by Awig to adopt 2024-39. Are there any comments or questions at this time?
Yes, Mr. President, I do have a couple of questions I'd like to ask about this.
Mr. Schaefer, go ahead.
I'm up in the air about this, to be honest with you. There's some things in there that are somewhat disturbing. There's absolutely no consideration for traffic planning. When you build something, it causes a lot of traffic. If you don't have any implementation, I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned that there are several mandates there to force people to buy sidewalks, but there's no manner in which it's going to be funded. So I'm thinking that the homeowners are going to take the hit. And I've done some research, and a sidewalk can cost between $10,000 and $20,000, and that seems like a lot of money. I'd like to know more about who's going to pay for stuff like this.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Is there any additional comments or questions at this time?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Winkle.
I just go out and say, I'd like to thank all the hard work that's put into this from the administration and a lot of volunteers who worked a year and a half hard on this. And just point out that we haven't created ordinance to address these specific issues. This is a plan to go forward to address these things and keep them in consideration in mind when we do. So I just wanted to say there was a lot of work put in this. I appreciate it. I know the rest of the community appreciates it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winkle. Do we have any additional comments or questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Swank.
I'd also like to add that this is a preliminary plan, nothing set in stone. The last master plan sat on a shelf and collected dust 14 years ago. So Mr. Schaefer's gonna also have other opportunities to discuss things in the plan when it comes down to it.
Thank you, Mrs. Swank. Any additional comments?
So that was another question, is this a draft? Can it be modified, or is it just a final thing?
Does anybody else other than Mr. Schaefer have any questions before we move on? I just want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to speak before we repeat.
I guess, Mr. President, I would just like to say I agree with Mr. Winkle. A lot of effort has been put into this plan. I see it as a tentative work of art. There's nothing set in stone like other people have said, and I think we will continue to work on things within the city. I think it's a great plan to go forward.
Thank you, Mrs. Awood.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
we started this process in 2022, and the outside consultant worked to pick a steering committee, and those members spent a lot of time and hard work and effort on creating this plan. It is a guide, just like all master plans, and there is an implementation phase that has been occurring previously and will continue to put some of these suggestions into place. And that would be through mainly ordinances. So as Councilwoman Swank mentioned, there'll be opportunities to discuss pieces and parts of this into the future. But I want to thank the steering committee for all their hard work. I know a couple of them are in the room this evening. And, I really appreciate what they've done and what we have put in place for the future of the community. It's important for each community to have a master plan. It helps not only with guidance, with also, a roadmap for the future, but it also provides an opportunity to apply for grant funding that if you don't have one, it's next to impossible to get. So there's a lot of great things that come from this. It's been a long time since we've had a current version, and these usually last 10 years or so. So we'll have to do this again in 2034. But anyway, it's a great opportunity and tool for us and provides us with a great future ahead of us. And I want to thank everybody who was involved, especially our director, Kim Lieber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we have any additional comments or questions? Mr. Schaefer, did you have an additional comment?
I'm also concerned about quality of life. I mean, I listened to the folks that spoke here tonight and previous episode of our meeting, and I worry that maybe we're not listening enough to the folks that have been here most of their life. And we're doing too many things to appease real estate developers and not enough to worry about the folks.
Sorry, were you done? Is there anybody else that has any questions or comments?
Mr. President,
Yes,
I have
Mr. Mayor.
a follow-up. When the steering committee was chosen, it was chosen that based on factors that mirrored our census. So there were people that met, different categories of income, education levels, everything that the census spells out. There was a person that kind of fit in those categories. So it was a great cross-section of this community, including length of residency. So there were some people that just moved in, people have lived here for a long time. The committee itself was made up with a cross-section of North Ridgeville, and it matched that cross-section of North Ridgeville. So to suggest anything otherwise is incorrect.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any additional comments or questions?
Mr. Schaefer, how many steering committee meetings did you attend?
I wasn't chosen to be on the steering committee.
They were public
They were all
meetings.
public. They were all public meetings. I wasn't chosen either, but I went to the meetings. Did you not go to any of them?
I don't remember.
Because I think if you would have, you probably would have a better understanding of the whole process behind this.
My concern is just that folks are gonna have to wind up paying a lot of money for sidewalks.
Not if we ask for grant money.
But do we know that for sure, or is that a hope?
But we-
Because hope is not a good business plan.
All right, I would like to add that, again, after 15 months of work and involvement from the steering committee, as well as several rounds of public engagement in which we did invite the public and received feedback from the public, this plan does kind of represent the aspirations of our community. As Mrs. Swank said, this is not a document that should be put on a shelf. This is something that we should continue to use on an ongoing basis as we make decisions as a council and as we make decisions as a city. I think this was a necessary tool in order for us to be able to manage change effectively going forward in our city, particularly with land use among the city. And I too would like to echo thanks to all of the steering committee members, all of the public who participated throughout the process. Mayor Corcoran and Planning and Economic Development Kim Lieber, thank you for spearheading the project. This is something that I think has been definitely needed in our city for quite some time. And so with that, it was moved by Winkle and seconded by Awig to adopt 2024-39. Clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Can I vote present?
I don't believe that's an option to vote present.
No, you can abstain.
Yes or no, please? Yes, no, or abstain? Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Avens,
Emphatic yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
2024-39 was adopted by a vote of 7-0.
The next Committee of the Whole meeting will be held on Monday, April 22nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. in council chambers. There will be another Committee of the Whole meeting scheduled on Monday, May 6th, 2024 at 6:15 p.m. in council chambers. And that is to discuss 2024-45. The next regular city council meeting will be held on Monday, May 6th at 7 p.m. in council chambers. With no further business before us this evening, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks.